Hello, I'm Paul Douglas. In this video we're going to learn to play 7 Minutes by Dean Lewis on the guitar. If you're new here then please consider subscribing to the channel by clicking that button just below the video player. Okay, so firstly a quick note about tuning on 7 Minutes. The track is actually tuned down a half step, a semitone, to E flat. So if you wanted to play along with the track, you'll have to tune down a semitone as well, down to E flat standard. I've kept my guitar in standard E tuning for this tutorial, as I think that's what most people will have their guitars tuned to. We're going to start by fretting fret 2 on the A string, 4 on the D string and 4 on the G string. Now you'll probably recognise that as a B power chord, a B5 chord. Our fretting hand fingers are going to stay on these notes for most of the song. The first figure we're going to play is in 4 parts. The first part is open E string, then D, G and D strings in this sort of a rhythm. Then the second part is very similar, but we're going to replace that open E string with the A string. Then part 3, again similar, we're going to replace that first note with fret 2 on the E string. So the 3 parts together so far are so part 4 is we play the opening bit of that the same again. The second bit is we're actually going to play E and then the D, G and B strings. And then the D string and the B string. So I'll just play that 4th part for you slowly. So that whole figure is like this. Now this is played lots of times throughout the song. It's also varied slightly throughout. Sometimes an extra pluck of the D string is added, like this. Sometimes the D, G and B strings, like we played on the 4th section, is played on all the sections, so like this. Now don't worry too much about which one to play when. They all sound great and fit wherever they are played. Do what you think sounds best and what you are most comfortable playing. So that whole figure is played 2 times around for the intro. It then continues underneath the first verse, and the verse is 2 times around that figure. Then it changes slightly. Section 4 is different. Instead of playing fret 2 on the low E string, we play fret 4 like this. So if I just play that 3rd time round the figure 4, it goes like this. Then we play the original figure another 1 time. And that is the first part of the first verse. 4 times around that figure, with that 3rd time the slightly changed version where we go up to that 4th fret on the E string, that G sharp. The second part of the first verse is pretty much the same, but this actually uses that variation I talked about in the beginning, where we're playing the D, G and B strings on each section, like this. Now it's up to you if you want to play that. If you want to play it the original way, that will work absolutely fine as well. Then the 3rd part of the first verse is a bit different. Fingers are going to be fretted as before, that B5 chord shape. So we're going to play the open E string and then the D, G, D and E strings like this. Then the D and G strings, and then the same again, open E, D, G and D strings. So that whole thing together goes like this. Then that same plucking pattern we're going to do again, but we're going to move up to fret 2 on the open E string, like this. Same again, but up to fret 4 on the low E string. And then back to the second one, where we're on fret 2 on the low E string. And that one's actually played 2 times, like this. So if I put that whole thing together, it should sound like this. And then we're into the pre-chorus. Now here we strum some chords. We're still going to keep that B5 chord shape in that left hand there. And we're going to strum all the strings except for the high E string. So like this. The next chord we're going to play, we're going to drop that open E string so we don't play either of the E strings. So it's like this. That's actually a proper B5 power chord. Then we're going to play fret 2 on the E and A string and strum again like this. Then the last chord is a little more difficult because you've got to make sure that you mute the A string, otherwise it'll sound horrible. We're going to play fret 4 on the open E string and then those same strings again, so no high E string. Make sure that we mute that open A string, otherwise it'll sound like this, which just sounds horrible. So all together, the chords we're going to strum are like this. Then leading into the chorus, we play that third part of the verse section again, except we strum the last chord just before the chorus, like this. And now we're into the chorus. Here we're strumming 3 chords that we have already played. Again, that same B5 power chord shape with the open string. And now with fret 2 on the E string, and then with fret 4 on the E string. So we play those chords 2 times around in the first chorus like this. So we go around that 2 times. Now there is also another guitar on the track which is strumming bigger chords. If you wanted to play that and strum those bigger chords, those chords are E, F sharp and G sharp minor. So it'll be like this. Then we're into verse 2. Here we play the same as part 1 of the first verse, but we stay on the very last shape for double the amount of time leading into the pre-chorus. Then we have the pre-chorus, which this time, instead of the strummed chords followed by the picked chords, we keep on the picked chords the whole way through leading into the second chorus. Second chorus is just like the first, but double the length, so we go 4 times around the chords instead of 2. Then we're into the bridge section. Now here we're strumming chords that we've already played before, and we are just changing the fret on that low E string. You're probably familiar with this pattern. Again, we've got that B power chord shape, so we play the one with fret 2 on the low E string. Then we play the fret 4 one and then the open string one, so like this. Then it's fret 4, open, fret 2, like this. So I just put that together, we get this sort of thing. And that carries on into the last pre-chorus. The last pre-chorus is like the previous pre-chorus, but instead of picking the chords, we actually strum the chords. And then finally, that last chorus is just like the second chorus, with going 4 times around the chords. And that's it, we've reached the end of the song. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified of new videos. And don't forget to check out the links in the description below. Keep making music, and I'll see you again in the next video. Cheers.